How's it going, everybody? It's me, Justin, aka Good Will Hunter, and we're back. We're going to do another mod video. I know we haven't finished up with the Xbox One, not the Xbox One, but the original Xbox, but we're going to work in stages. So this one's going to be modding an original Wii Nintendo. So if you have one of these laying around and you haven't modded one before, it's a really easy step-by-step process. Really, it's not much you can do. Great if your disk drive doesn't work, but you probably would want one with a working disk drive, even if you don't have one with a working disk drive, just so you can back up your games. So what you're going to need for this, obviously, you're going to need a Wii, you're going to need your AV cable, sensor bar, what else? You're going to need your power, your brick. You're also going to need an SD memory card, preferably 4 gigs, not the SDHC, the high capacity ones. Just a standard 4 gig SD card. You can use the higher capacity cards, but for the first step, it's kind of picky sometimes, and it may not read the file that we're going to try to upload, so we can get the homebrew channel installed as well as BootMe. BootMe is great because you can back up your NAND, your NAND, so in case you kind of semi-brick your system, you can always restore it, but you always want to have a backup of that. So, right, what do we do? So, let's, we're going to need to know what the MAC address for the network port, or the network communication port, the MAC address. The only way to know that is to power this thing on, go into the settings menu and go into internet. It'll tell us our MAC address, and it'll also tell us what version our system menu is, because we're also going to need to know that, because we're going to need to go then onto a laptop or a PC and use a program called Wii Brand Launcher, which is then going to go ahead and create a file to put on the root of this SD card, and then once we put this SD card into the Wii and go to our messages and go to the prior day, we'll have a nice little icon. Click it and it should execute the homebrew installer, pretty much. So let's hook it all up and we'll cut to, I guess, the Wii. Okay, let's go ahead and start it. Alright, so as you can see, there already is a couple of games already on these, or on this. We got Mario Kart 64 and Zelda. I'm just going to leave these, but what I always like to do is to go into the data management channels, because if you're going to install anything as far as virtual console games after the fact, which we can do once we do the homebrew channel install, you're going to need to free up some space. So right now we have this many, but if you go into save data under Wii, you'll see there's a lot of save data. So I always recommend, if you ever find a Wii and you're going to soft mod it, just go ahead and delete everything, unless, you know, like they're good channels like we have with Zelda and Mario Kart. So we're going to go into settings, because we need to find out what the MAC address for this is, as well as the system menu version, which is 4.3U, which was the last North American release update, I guess, for the system menu. So go to internet, console information, there's our MAC address. So I'm going to write this down, because we will need this for the next step. 17 Alpha Bravo, and everything is case sensitive when you're dealing with MAC addresses. Okay, so we have our MAC address. We know we're rocking 4.3U as far as the system menu. So let's go ahead and we'll open up our application on our desktop, and we'll go ahead and input the information onto our into the application itself, and then we'll have our SD card inserted in either our PC or whatever we're using, and it should write the files to that SD card. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so we're back, and we're going to need to get a hold of the Wii brand launcher. This is great tool. All it really requires is that you know the MAC address and the system menu version that you're going to be installing the homebrew channel on the Wii too. So what I like to do, it's really good, if you go to Bob's website, it's retrorgb.com, and he's got a nice little section for console info and mods. And from here, he's got a link on his page, or on his website, I should say, to a really great Wiihacks tutorial on how to softmod any Wii. It really pretty much goes over everything I'm doing in this video, and this is what I've used to kind of get to the point where everything is really simple. But it just pretty much, you know, tries to get you to understand what you shouldn't do, all the different revisions and the iOS's. Let's see, what do we have? Yeah, just some precautions, some applications, some application packs you can download. But pretty much, yeah, 350 free blocks of NAND space. So pretty much you need to have 350 blocks free. That's why I say get rid of everything you don't need as far as game saves, channels. Remove all the USB devices, GameCube controllers, format an SD card to FAT32, which we will do, which I've already done, but I'll do it again. And then pretty much just launch, well, for us, because this, as you can see, it starts System Menu 3.1. Depending on what system menu you're using, you may need to do a different method to get the actual homebrew channel installed. But you could always update to 4.3, which is right down here. So we're using the method of getting the Wii brand launcher, which he has a link to download it. So we'll go ahead, and we've already downloaded it, but here it is. It's the Wii brand launcher. We're going to go ahead and insert my SD card right now. And it should be right here. So there's nothing on it. Properties. As you can see, it's fat. So we'll just go ahead and free format it. I think this is a very small card, so I don't know if I'll be able to. Yeah, we'll just leave it at fat. It does not need to be FAT32. I've done it before without. But again, if you have access to a higher capacity, it will work. It just may require you to do it a couple times to get it to actually load. So let's go ahead, open up Wii brand launcher. This is it right here. Double click it. All right, it's a really great little tool. Go ahead and enter in your MAC address. So it's 0017 Alpha Bravo Echo 10797. Our system menu region, it'll tell you, or obviously we're American, that's why it's 4.3U, and the system menu version is 4.3. Now the Hack Me installer, you'll already download that. This is a great little tool because it'll have Boot Me and I believe the homebrew channel installer. So yes, we'll copy it, bundle it with me, and copy it directly to the E drive, which is the SD memory card. You can see over here, removable disk, and just go ahead and click on the little bomb. So it's already created the exploit, and then it should copy the data to the E drive. So if you go in our little E, there it is. So let's go ahead and go back to our Wii, take our memory card out, and we'll be right back. Alright, so we powered on the Wii, hit the A button on our Wiimote. Forgot to tell you, you're going to need a Wiimote for this, or else it won't work. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my memory card now. You can insert it before or after, it doesn't matter. It's not that picky. Alright, so you can see, you hear that. That means the SD card was inserted. We're going to actually go to messages. And then, as you can see, it says Thursday night one. We'll just go back one day. And there's the exploit, and it should load. And it should take a little bit to load. It usually takes, there we go. So yeah, you should not have to pay for this exploit. That's pretty much just what it's outlining. If you paid for the software, which we just used right now, as part of a bundle or in lieu of payment, then yeah, you should ask for your money back. I don't know how that would work, but legalities. It should eventually pop up with a 1. Okay, so hit 1. So now here it's telling me that we can install the homebrew and boot me can be installed as an actual first boot option. So what that means is when you turn your Wii on, you'll boot directly into boot me. If you don't want that, you can install it as an iOS, which you can then run from the homebrew channel. So let's go ahead and install the homebrew channel. Yes. Okay. Boot me. Install boot me as boot 2. So we'll hit yes. It's pretty much, it's going to write files directly to the SD card. So this isn't a very big SD card, so I don't know if it'll work, but it should. Alright, so it is done. Go ahead and install it. Now, if you were to install boot me as boot option 2 and you don't have the SD card inserted in your Wii, when you go to turn it on, it will not boot to boot me because it writes files directly on the SD card. Okay. Continue, and we'll just return to the main menu and exit. As you can see, it boots right to the homebrew channel. We don't have anything on the SD memory card at the moment, so we're just going to exit to the system menu. And as you can see, we now have the homebrew channel installed. Which you need to pretty much install a lot of the other fun things you can do with a Wii. So for the moment, I think we'll just kind of keep it here. We're going to need to do a couple more installs. We need to install, we actually need to do a backup of boot me, of our NAND. So let's do a backup of the NAND. That's going to take a while. Then we need to install all the different iOS files that need in order to run certain emulators and other certain little fun little gadgets as far as homebrew apps and different stuff that you normally couldn't do with a Wii, like run image files from GameCube games and all that fun stuff. So let's take a break. We'll come back with part 2, but for right now, we have the homebrew channel installed, so that's a success in my book. As always, guys, if you liked this video, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, well, you probably don't like my channel. So, sorry. Can't please all of you, but I'll please some of you. And as always, stick around and we'll have part 2, and who knows when, but it'll be.